Welcome to DAO Speed Dating Episode.8. I'm Blake for Liberty, and I'm here co-hosting with ETH Ledger. Excited to have everyone here with us today. Before we get started, I'd like to give a little bit of information about Governor DAO. Governor DAO is kind of a one-stop shop for all your dev needs as a project. We can help new or existing DAOs with things that they might need, whether it's help with airdrops or smart contracts or staking or any of those good things. We can also help with launches. We've got an NFT launch pad and as well as some liquidity generation event setups that can help token launches as well. In addition to that, we have our flagship service, which is Proof of Existence, and that is a civil resistance, privacy-focused, non-KYC biometric solution that solves problems of multi-accounts and bots and whales, particularly during token launches, NFT launches, governance, just anything where you want to make sure that you know who is doing what, but while protecting privacy as well. You can learn more about that at proofofexistence.xyz. Today we have OKI and Genomes DAO. ETH, would you like to introduce our first guest?
Yeah, certainly. Thanks, Blake. Welcome, everybody. Excited to have you on, those in attendance, as well as our guest speakers. Our first guest today is Ukitrade, Ooki DAO. So Ooki is a powerful and fully decentralized protocol for tokenized margin trading, borrowing, lending, staking, which enables the building of decentralized applications for lenders, borrowers, and traders to interact with the most flexible decentralized finance protocol over multiple blockchains. Ooki is a fully decentralized community-run project governed by the community who vote for all major changes to the protocol. They aim to be the gateway to DeFi.
Hey guys,
Welcome.
how's it going? I'm excited to be on the dating show, the DAO dating show.
We're stoked to have you.
So basically, what makes Ooki unique is kind of just expanding on what you mentioned earlier. We're a fully decentralized protocol that allows trading with leverage, and although it's not perpetual contracts, it's actually spot trading. And that enables you up to 5x leverage on most pairs and up to 15x leverage on certain pairs. Obviously, I can't really do a demo since it's voice only, but I think one of the selling points is just how easy it is to get in and place a trade with Ooki in a fully decentralized manner. So for those not as familiar with DeFi, that means you don't need to KYC or anything like that. Boom, boom, 3 clicks, you're in the trade. So yeah, we offer decentralized margin trading and as well as lending and borrowing, and we have quite a reflexive mechanism that tries to keep both pools from lenders and borrowers as optimized as possible to give like the best rates on both ends, whether you're borrowing or lending. And as well as we have the OKI token, which kind of basically gives you access to all the fees that are generated from the platform, as well as governance. So you can vote on proposals, and we're a community-owned protocol, so the community dictates the direction of where we want to go, they want to go. So yeah, just a bit more that I could say is what I really think makes OKI unique is its upcoming feature of permissionless listings, which is basically the ability to have anybody go ahead and list an asset, through just governance and getting it passed through, and then being able to long and short it thereafter. So you can imagine a lot of these coins, once they come out and they're fresh and new, people want to be able to take some margin on them, but they don't always get added the second that people want. So this would be kind of a way to do that, meanwhile having a proper backstop in place to allow for those trades. So yeah, that's kind of what makes Ooki unique, as well as other upcoming things like social trading features. But I think the easiest way to kind of summarize everything would be that we aim to be kind of the Binance of DeFi, where you'd kind of be able to do everything in a fully DeFi way, and we also aim to make it as simple as possible to kind of get users that are used to the traditional centralized experience over to DeFi. So that's my intro right there.
Awesome, that's great. Like in terms of security, like how do you guys secure the protocol?
Well, basically, we run through a lot of testing, obviously internally, and everything's up on GitHub too. We have a big set of audits, and every new feature that comes out, we've been kind of getting it audited as well. So our next kind of set of features is going to be limit orders, and we have been using code for Rena as of our most recent audits, but I can also kind of post up the audits page if anyone wants to see on previous audits. So yeah, a combination of our devs testing as well as getting audits done is how we secure our protocol.
Yes, audits are great. That's awesome. What value does the OKI token bring to holders? Is that your governance token?
Yeah, so it's a governance token as well as a fee sharing token. So since Ooki is deployed on quite a few chains now, I think about 5. Don't quote me on it, but yeah, basically Ethereum, BSC, Optimism, Arbitrum, and Polygon. So basically, what the token is going to allow you is when you're staking that, you can earn a percentage of the fees relevant to how much you staked. And it'll basically combine all the fees from all the chains and bring it back to stakers on Ethereum. So staking is only available on Ethereum at the moment, but it will earn you fees from all the other chains. So that's kind of the point of the OKI token, as well as governance voting.
What do the tiers look like for that? Like, what are the specific tiers, if you have them offhand, for the fees, fee pools, and stuff? Like, you have to stake a certain amount to get a certain percentage.
No, it's just as much as you stake is the percentage you get. So I have to check on the most recent percentage, but basically it's like there's no like tiers, like you have to stack X amount. So it's like if the OKI protocol generates $100, you have 1% of that staked. It'll be around $1 or whatever it is around there. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Perfect. And then any new features that you guys are expecting to release soon?
Yeah, sure. So the most exciting one was the one I had mentioned earlier that the community's really been hyped about for a while now is the permissionless listings, the way to basically list any asset in a fully decentralized manner. So that's probably the most exciting feature, as long as well as limit orders, which have been quite requested, which I think will make Ooki quite a more competitive product. As right now we only have market orders for leverage. So the ability to have a stop loss set and a limit order on a decentralized pair, as well as permissionless listings. That's probably the most exciting features we have coming up, as well as kind of working on our social features to be able to share your trades and get some kickbacks from doing so.
Wicked. Is that part of the V2.0, or is that the next iteration? Would that be V3 or?
Likely going to be a V3. Right now, the developers are kind of finishing up as having their I tokens as collateral. So if you're lending, you'd be able to also earn and borrow with that while earning interest. So that's kind of the next thing they've been kind of developing. And then after that, it's most likely going to be limit orders. But again, right now, if anybody wants to head over to the Ooki forums, the DAO has laid out all the proposals from the community and everything that they think is viable to develop. So if people want to get involved in shaping the future of Ooki, then we're all for it. We just want to go in the direction that the community wants us to go. But as I can tell you from reading chats and such, I think the thing that really is the game changer is the permissionless listings.
I'm wondering, in terms of the governance side, what type of governance do you guys use? Like, is it weighted? Do you guys use quadratic voting? How does that work?
Oh, well, to my knowledge, kind of people discuss in the in the telegrams as such. And then it goes over to the forums, the OKI forums, and then from there it takes a snapshot vote before it goes on chain. So sorry, I'm not familiar with the technical terms in your question, but that's the extent of the voting process, to my knowledge.
Yeah, all good. Lots of different DAOs they have different strategies and whatnot for their governance. So I'm always just curious to see, which is using which and whatnot.
Well, if you have tokens staked on OKI, you can delegate their voting power if you're not like an active participant in the forums, So if I had a bunch of tokens and I thought you were a good community leader, I could just stake them on you, and you would then receive the voting power of my tokens.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I haven't really heard of that happening before. That's interesting. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for coming on. We really appreciate you joining us today. It sounds like there's a lot of exciting things happening over at OKI, and look forward to the permissionless listing stuff coming up.
No worries. It's my pleasure, guys.
I actually have a couple more questions if you don't mind.
Yeah, anytime.
I saw on your website you guys have partial liquidations as opposed to just full liquidations.
Yeah, so basically if there's like a market crash, sorry to cut you off. If there's like a market crash, instead of getting fully liquidated, OKI will only liquidate a portion of your collateral to bring you back to a healthy collateral ratio. So you basically, if there's some of those crazy wicks, you have a better chance to not get fully liquidated as opposed to a sex experience, which probably will liquidate you fully. So yeah.
Right.
It's a bit more forgiving.
Sure. Which I think is kind of one of the cool things about DeFi in general, is that these kinds of things can be kind of tailored by protocol and offer different experiences like that can both be safer or just different. And so I think that's really cool. I also saw a section of your website about NFTs. Can you tell me anything about your NFT stuff?
Yeah, sure. So we had quite a few NFTs planned to kind of release, but we kind of thought it would be a bit better to hold off on them. So we've had a couple kind of floating around the community, but ideally, I was briefly mentioning social features earlier. So we kind of wanted to give a bit of a gamified experience where, let's say you're doing quite a bit of margin trading on OKI or lending and borrowing. I think it would be exciting to have a user be able to receive like rewards for their commitment and participation in formats of NFTs, and then that would really lend itself well and nicely to the social sharing features I had mentioned earlier, where like let's say you would like to share one of your trades, which ideally would be linked with a referral feature. You'd have like your NFT that's like an OKI based NFT kind of there along with your Ethereum address saying, hey, like come trade on OKI. This is my profile. Check it out. So it would be a bit of an experience where it's like you're earning for using the platform in terms of NFTs, and you're incentivized to share, not only to kind of show off your trades if you'd like, if you did some kind of crazy bottom catch or something like that, but to also earn a bit of kickback and help promote the platform and help it grow. So that's the direction we're ideally looking to head towards for the NFT aspect of the protocol.
I think anytime you can bring the community in like that, I think that's always a positive.
So with the being able to delegate some of your OKI tokens to someone else to use for governance, like, is there a reputation system you guys have built, or is it just from the community members seeing active members step up and have leadership skills that they would then in turn like want to allocate their OKI tokens to for governance votes?
I think a lot of people, don't exactly get involved in the forum. So like a lot of people kind of just stay on the side of like Telegram. They just kind of like to discuss. But when it comes down to voting or kind of speaking the forums, they don't participate as much. So I think it kind of suits those people to delegate their tokens. There's no like preferential delegation thing or like suggested community members. If you just head yourself to oki.com/stake, you just see kind of a box on the DAO tab that kind of allows you to delegate your tokens to any address you'd like. Really, we don't suggest any members or anything like that. And as well on that tab, you can kind of see the latest list of proposals. So yeah, that's kind of how it's done for delegation.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. It's definitely something that I think a lot of DAOs have grappled with, like sort of like the public spiritedness of voting, because we deal with that too. There's lots of people that are just active in Telegram, and then some of the smaller votes they don't, typically participate in. One of the ways that we've that's helped us is with the civil resistance tech, the proof of existence stuff that we talked about at the beginning. It enables us to do like one voice, one vote. So in some cases, we find that gives people more initiative, like feel like they have more say, more value, more of an even playing field in some of the governance stuff. So it's pretty cool just to see how many different versions of governance and how different DAOs are implementing governance. So it's cool to see that they can delegate as well.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I remember when ENS had the airdrop, they had a system where, well, I think once upon claiming, it kind of gave you the option to delegate, and then it kind of had like a pop up with a bunch of suggested people you could delegate to. It could be worth exploring in the future, where if somebody goes to stake their tokens, they're met with kind of like an optional modal, which would say like, "Hey, would you also like to delegate?" And kind of tells you a bit about maybe a couple of really active community members. So it could be a cool way to incentivize participation in like market downturns where kind of all the metrics are not as popular above the board in kind of the forums.
Cool. Well, I think that exhausts our questions. Can you give folks the best ways to get in contact with you guys or learn more about you?
Sure. So I would kind of move them over to our landing page, which is hello.oki.com. And from there, you can kind of read a bit about. Oops, I think I just replied to the tweet. Sorry, wasn't there a chat feature over here? I guess not. Anyways, I kind of replied to the spaces with our homepage, so I think that's kind of the yeah, the easiest kind of.
Top. I'll pin it to the top for you here so that people can see it.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Yeah, I was gonna say, so that's probably the easiest overview of Ooki and what it does, and if you want to hop in the app or kind of head over to Telegram, where most of our community is quite active, I would say that's the best gateway and portal to get there.
Let's go ahead and introduce our next guest.
Awesome. Yeah, so our next guest is Genomes DAO. I'm going to invite them up to speak. So Genomes DAO is a biotech DAO focused on the safe, private, and audible monetization of genomic data. Welcome to the stage.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone, and good evening for myself. I'm based in Scotland in the United Kingdom. Well, my name is Aldo, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Genomes.io, also known as Genomes DAO. I hope I can do the pitch as well as the speaker before me, because I thought that was very well done, very concise, and I'm one who's known to yabble on, so forgive me if I go over 10 minutes. I'll try to be as concise as I can be. So we basically are a technology that is working on making genomic querying and in effect the entire genomics market more equitable. And the way we do that is through an infrastructure of virtual vaults that hold genomic data. And the best way to think about our infrastructure is a little bit like a MetaMask. So the service we offer you is through a Genomes.io, we would provide you the service to sequence your genome. And for those of you not familiar with what a genome is another word for basically your DNA data. And we'd like to think that your DNA is the blueprint to who you are. So it's the most personable thing you will ever possess. So in your lifetime, you'll change phone numbers, you'll change home addresses, you'll change all sorts of data, but you're never going to be able to change your genomic sequence. And in the 22 years old that this market is, in the 22 years that we've had this evolution, because the first human genome was sequenced 22 years ago in the year 2000. The cost of that was around $5 billion. And today, market leaders in sequencing have announced that they're going to be able to do the same type of sequencing for less than $100. So for us, that's a clear indication that the sequencing isn't so troublesome anymore, and that the value is in the data. Now, what we do. Let me first say that, and then I'll go back to what the core problem is for those of you not familiar with it. What we do is we offer you the sequencing service, and after sequencing, we allow you to ingest your genome into a virtual vault. And once it's in that vault, it is private and secure, only available to you. So you are the only one who is going to be able to open that vault by means of a 12-word seed phrase. And because it's on our infrastructure, we would be able to offer you certain possibilities, such as we're able to provide you ancestry reports about whether you're a carrier for rare diseases, whether you have any genetic predispositions for allergies, or any specific diseases, anything basically that your genomic information can unlock in terms of information about you. And every time such a report is available, we would notify you. Now, if you are interested in that part about yourself, you can accept the report. If you're not, then no worries, you don't have to. The gist of it all is that you basically, we make you as the vault holder the central owner of the information. And currently in the market, you are not. So taking one step back on how it's currently done, there are loads of direct-to-consumer genetic companies in the market, and you might have heard of them, 23andMe or Ancestry.com. I think those are the two biggest examples, who basically sequence your genomic information. You even pay them for that because you're curious to know a little bit more about yourself. But at the same time, you basically waive all the commercial rights over your genome to these companies. And as a result, these companies have closed deals of in the hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars, with the pharmaceutical industry and research organizations. Money that you have never seen, money in which, in effect, your data is being cross-sold without your knowledge. And it's not only about, of course, the commercial element, even though that is, of course, interesting, the financial rewards of it all, but it's also the fact that you do not know what happens with your data after you've parted with it. When you, for instance, have used have put some saliva in a tube and send it off to a laboratory. So in today's world, in the Web 2.0 world, so to say, your data ends up in a centralized database. That database can change hands as the owners of the companies change hands, which happened in the case of Ancestry.com, that sold for $4.7 billion to Blackstone, one of the biggest private equity companies in the world. And then all the people who are in that database, they don't know what's going to happen to your data. So what we basically do is, and this is where we're to, we like to call ourselves a tool in decentralized science. Our infrastructure is basically a database, a decentralized database that can, if you want to, be queried at scale by pharmaceutical companies, research organizations in a similar manner, but whereby the notifications or the financial rewards or the information or the tracks can really be brought back granularly to the individual holder of the genomic information. So that's basically the significant difference. Now we have an entire spiel of tokenomics and whatever. I'd like to get in there, but I'm just going to pause here just to make sure that everyone's still on board, or maybe people have questions. I hope that made sense.
Oh, totally. When I first came across Genomes DAO, I just thought about what a fascinating project, what a fascinating idea. And yeah, all the stuff that you said about Ancestry and 23andMe and the sale to third parties. is pretty mind-boggling. So I think that this is such a cool project and much needed. And yeah, I'm super stoked to have you guys on today.
Thank you. It's great to be part of this.
So I did have a couple questions for you as well.
Sure,
So you wanted to get into the tokenomics. Is that what you were going to dive into next?
Yeah, happy to. So basically, as part of our tech stack, we also introduced a utility token, which is Gene, and Gene is basically the transactional token. If you, as a vault holder, want to be rewarded for your data being queried, and to people often ask for a benchmark, and so our estimate is that if a solid commercial organization would want to query your data for kind of your participation to their research, that could be anywhere in between $50 and $100 for such a query. But you don't do anything for it, right? You basically just via the app, you receive a notification. We say, hey, we've got, for instance, GlaxoSmithKline, who wants to query your genome. Here's the financial reward. Are you interested to participate? Yes or no? And then your financial reward will be expressed in our utility token Gene. So that's that's the purpose of Gene. And then we also have a governance token, which is Gnome. Gnome, of course, comes with governance like for any other DAO. We're happy to say we've got lots of Gnome holders and a vibrant Discord community of people who are interested in the growth of our company and who are part of our DAO and who think along with us. And these are people that have a general interest, and we're also happy that some of them are bioinformaticians, medical doctors, former employees of 23andMe, and basically think along all the way. So you can, if you're a Gnome holder, you also will enable yourself to have these voting rights. So those are the two tokens that we have.
My next question for you was, what are the genetic cats?
Yeah, so
is that?
Yeah, no, good question. So that was that's our NFT. So we did an ICO in October 21, which went very well, and then in February 22 we did an NFT launch, and basically and that's called Genetic Cats. And the genetic cat, of course, interesting, but more interesting is that the NFT has a utility, and utility is basically a vault. So everyone who buys the genetic cat will receive a kit, and through that kit they can basically become a vault holder on the Genomes infrastructure. So we've sold quite a bit of our NFTs through our own channels, but I believe some of them are still available on OpenSea at the moment. So that's our NFT. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. So those are available on OpenSea. Still a few left for folks if they're interested.
Yeah, I appreciate how kind of all three of our projects here are focused on privacy. OKI DAO, or OKI with their kind of DeFi lending platform, and you guys with privacy focused genome, and us with privacy focused biometrics. So I just really think that's a cool thing that we share in common. And I was wondering about if you could speak to just kind of privacy in general in the Web3 space.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I think privacy, as of course technology evolves, and as we as users of technology become more educated, I think data is becoming more and more crucial. And you don't have to go far. It's not only kind of your privacy on a genomic data level. It's also when you're on Facebook, people more and more want to know kind of what's happening with my data if I interact on the on these social media platforms, which data is mine, which data is can they use, and that ties into loads of stuff. Where we are kind of where we'd like to think of ourselves again as a DeSci tool. So you have DeFi, and we're kind of DeSci, which is also kind of, there's a big DeSci community and it's growing, and there are loads of tools that are part of DeSci, which very much is also focused on improving science and improving technology, but really respecting the privacy and security of the of the individual more and more. And we're very happy that we are kind of a concrete example of how that should be executed all the way from the person to your genomic sequence. So our vaults are basically the vaults that we built are those are severely encrypted. By the by, I don't want anyone to think, kind of after this little pitch, that we put any genomic data on the blockchain. We do not. We build virtual vaults with tools that are provided to us by AMD, so the big hardware company. From the tools we built the software, and the tools they provide to us are it's a technology called AMD SEVES, and those vaults are hosted in the cloud, and are they are so encrypted that you're not able to get into the vaults and get to the genomic data, if you will. And then again, as I opened with my pitch, we are not the ones. So we, as founders or as kind of developers of the infrastructure, are never going to be able to open these vaults. So it's very much like your MetaMask. That vault is yours, and we're only able to send you notifications, to send you reports, to send you information, should you be willing to receive that. So we have some people who are who want to sequence their genome and put it in one of our vaults and say, well, I never want to have any form of interaction with you guys. I just want to make sure that it's safe, and we respect that, and we say, well, that's great, and welcome. And there are people at the other end who basically say, well, tell me more, and when is there a new report or a new survey, or how can I collaborate, and what can we do? So it's it's all round. What I think, and this goes back to privacy and security, it's the will of the individual. And I think specifically with genomic data, as I said, it doesn't get more personal than that. In these genetic companies, many of them say, yeah, but we take off your name, so therefore your DNA is anonymous. There's no such thing as anonymizing your DNA data. If you take off your name, you're still going to be able to trace that data is yours, right? So there's and it has been done many times before. So that's not a waterproof formula. Just taking the name tag of someone's sequence is not going to help, right? So I'm now at risk of yabbling on, so I'm going to pause there. I hope I answered your question.
No, yeah, that was great, and your point about anonymous data is really important as well, because so I also do some politics as one of my main things that I'm involved in, and I was working on a bill a handful of years back, and a lot of it had to do with a lot of data gathering, and the argument from the other side was that there was always it was aggregated and that it was anonymous data. But we found data analysts who said that out of the hundreds of data points that were gathered, they only needed 7 to trace it back to the individual. And that was just kind of mind-blowing to everybody who was involved, that good data analysts can really take data and trace it back to people so easily. And I think that's something that people are starting to learn and find out, and it's part of why privacy is becoming such an important thing.
100%, yeah.
A lot of similarities, like Blake was saying, with our civil resistance tech as well. The biometrics, they aren't stored on chain. They're encrypted and sent to a vault as well. So it's just cool to see some of the similarities there. And then in terms of like the decentralized science, just seeing like different groups organized. So like I know VitaDAO is probably part of that world as well, and there's some others that are popping up. And I mean, this just speaks to the importance of Web3 and this movement of decentralization and all this cool innovation that's happening.
Yeah, but we're very excited about all of it, and this is really what we like about being a DAO and having our Discord community mainly, we get so many ideas. So people really get excited about the idea, and they really kind of align with our vision, and they think along. So a lot of what we build is really based on uh, the ideas of members of our DAO. And when we started this, I could never have imagined that that was going to be such a treasure of information, of people who really want to think along. We have people writing, to me, so like, just so you know, I have trouble falling asleep because this, I'm so excited about this, and how can I get involved, and what can I do, and here are some ideas, and I know you're busy and whatever, but it's really nice to have that kind of energy around you.
That's basically how the Governor DAO Ambassador Program started. So that's why we're here too.
Yeah, great. Thanks so much for coming on. Before we open up for open discussion, I see Amy's got a question. I think it's for Genome.
Hey
Amy,
there.
hey.
Yeah. Oh gosh, how did you know that my question was for Genome? And actually, I think that it was kind of answered. But I didn't put my hand down. But I really I guess that I wanted to know, uh, like how our genome information, how, like, if it would be used in any kind of research kind of aspects, and in those kind of ways. And apologies if that was already shared. I apologize. I came in like a little bit late to Genome Talking, so if I missed that, apologies.
No, not at all. Not at all. Thank you. It's a very good question. So basically, we work with research organizations, possibly pharmaceutical companies, possibly rare disease charities, who need genomic data, who need to query genomic data for their research. So, and what they can do is they can query our infrastructure. And what that means is that they have a specific research question in mind, and our team of bioinformaticians, as well as, if it's a big company, then they might have that, those resources in house. We would help them to basically code that query so it can be sent to our vaults, if that makes sense. So there's a research question. So for instance, if we're talking about, if you are predisposed, if they're doing research about, if you're predisposed to heart disease among a specific demography, right? So they give us basically the parameters of the demography, male or female, and then an age group, and then kind of, they give us these metrics, and on the basis of these metrics, we can see, okay, here are the vault holders matching these metrics. So we can then use that to send the query to the vault holders matching that profile. So that would allow us to send a notification to the vault holders, and then we say, hey, it's, for instance, the British Heart Foundation, very active here in the United Kingdom. They want to do this research. Are you interested to participate? Here's the possible financial reward for this. It's just like a little message that pops up on your phone. You can then say yes or no. If you want to participate, yes or no. If you want to participate, then your vault will be included in the research. Now, what's important to point out is that the query happens in a vaulted environment. So, and what that essentially means is that at no point there's any leakage of genomic data going back to the organization who's doing the query. It is really kind of the query that is sent to the vaults within a vaulted environment. The query takes place, and then the query result is sent back to the organization at hand. What we do have is a repeat consent protocol, meaning that if they want to, if they have a research question, then it starts with, okay, we want a demography, a big demography saying everyone in the United States and Western Europe. And then further down, they basically want to fine tune that. And then when they basically say now only the UK, whatever. So for the research, they can come back multiple times to the vaults for the same research. And that would be basically the same kind of assignment that we work on with the specific organization. Um, Does that make sense at all?
Yeah, absolutely. And I definitely would love to talk with you more about some of that work that you're doing, because they're beyond like also like physical illnesses and diseases, that that we can be alerted to through having the awareness of of your genome makeup. There's like other aspects, I think, like also, there are some mental illnesses that are in many cases connected to your genome. I mean, I've read that in many cases. And so, in your knowing your predisposition for that kind of thing could actually be, extremely helpful.
Yeah, and but that's always a tricky thing. So I was talking to someone this afternoon and said, "Well, many people might not want to know." I said, "Well, we just offer them the report, what could potentially be disclosed in the report, and then you can choose whether you want to know, yes or no, right?" So, so the kind of the process that I just described would be kind of us working with another organization, and then on top of that, we also have an entire kind of roadmap of our own reports, right? So your vault is never going to be kind of not used, because our infrastructure, our team of bioinformaticians produces reports as well, so you can find out more about you. But as this market is very quickly evolving, and as this market is young, as I said before, it's only 22 years old, and as genomic sequencing gets cheaper, I'm really convinced we're only at the very tip of the iceberg as to what our DNA can really tell us. So there's, I think in the next years we're just going to see so many more things popping up, so many more initiatives where our genomic data is going to be crucial, which should be another sign on the wall for all of us to say, well, that's all nice and lovely, but I want to be the owner of the data, because I don't want to live in a world whereby data is just kind of in the hands of someone else, and who knows what can happen with it. We say, insurance policies could be denied to you. It could be that you could be deported on the basis of your DNA, or you might miss out on employment because kind of the other candidates have a better genetic profile than you. All three, we've already seen cases of that in this world. So I'm not being big brothery, I'm not being kind of scary conspiracy theory. I'm unfortunately telling you something that's already happening on the basis of genomic data, just because it's out there, and many of us still do not have a good awareness yet as to all the information it can unlock about you. And if anything, even if you don't like genomes.io, we want people to be aware of, don't be too easy with giving your data away, and make sure you ask organizations who like direct to consumer genetic companies, or any other companies that want to take your saliva or whatever. Read the fine print to really know that they're not doing anything else with your data, things that you do not want them to do.
Absolutely. That's great stuff. Thanks for the question, Amy, and thanks for the great answer, Genomes now. I want to kick it back over to Ooki. We've seen things with like Celsius and some of these other places that have gone down, and people are worried about particularly leverage trading and things like that. And since that's what you guys are kind of focused on, what would your response be to folks who are worried about leverage trading, worried about the project going under or something like that? And is that what's your guys' answer to that? Because I think your guys' platform is a great solution to some of those things.
Yeah, well, it's non-custodial, right? So you're free to withdraw your funds anytime, or close your leverage trade. It's not like a DYDX kind of system where you have to deposit before you can trade. You could do it straight off your ledger, or just cancel it. So the system itself is kind of different. So I wouldn't really compare them. I think they're quite different in design.
Sure. And so we kind of already covered it with, I think, the partial liquidations, but would you say that's kind of the thing that protects the platform the most?
I would say the partial liquidations as well as low leverage, right? So like your risk of liquidation at like a 1 point 2x leverage or 1.4 is very small. Like you could think of it traditionally as maybe you know, like let's say real estate, like people use leverage, but they don't use that much leverage for the average kind of like home buyer. So maybe, you know, if you're scared of the volatility of the market, you would be one of those people that runs much lower leverage on your portfolio. So it would just give you that extra boost or juice that you would want.
Cool. I also wanted to give you the chance to kind of chime in on the privacy question I asked to Genomes now, and just kind of how you see privacy being valued in the space, and how you guys are part of adding to that.
Yeah, so we really are a true DeFi protocol. You know, we try to be as decentralized as possible in kind of every form of our protocol, and we've always kind of put DeFi first. So in the sense of, you know, every other integration that we've ever done with any other protocol has been DeFi. You know, we were actually the first protocol, I believe in 2017, to ever do a decentralized margin trade using a borrow. So kind of OGs in the space, and been around for a while in the DeFi world. So you know, even in terms of our front end, if somebody wants to clone our repo and kind of do a new front end, and people would access it that way, that's totally fine with us. So we're trying to lead the way.
If we could change one thing in the space right now in its current iteration, what would that be, and why, and maybe how?
So, I mean, I'm just going to go ahead and answer. So please stop me if I'm not supposed to answer. Well, one of the things is basically whereby we as an infrastructure seek to serve individuals, you know, as vault holders, but also organizations. And these organizations, as I mentioned before, are rare disease charities, are in some cases governments, are universities, are hospitals, healthcare providers, and so on and so forth. Unfortunately, many in the B2B spheres are not yet really familiar with, you know, I'm not even going to say the word DAO, anything Web3 and anything kind of, you know, crypto or DeFi is often considered at this moment in time still a little bit as a scary thing, as a big unknown. So we know that if we kind of move in with that first, that it could potentially scare away kind of clients that we also want to work with. So if anything, you know, things that we would want to change is like, no, we're, you know, we are a good example of applying this in the right way. And here's what a DAO means, and here's what this means, and here's what that means. So you know, by good, you know, by properly educating and properly talking about it, we hope that we can take away the cynicism and the skepticism. But unfortunately, it's still there, and this is also why we are not a kind of a full blown DAO, but we're a hybrid form. We are limited in the UK, and as limited in the UK, we operate, you know, with not with our avatars or kind of, you know, any kind of anonymous, not via Twitter handles, but really we, you know, we need to give all the information that we have about our limited before we can even speak to these, you know, these government sequencing initiatives and what have you more. And then on the DAO side, you know, there's the beauty of Twitter spaces like these. But at this moment, these still feel like two different worlds. It's not like one world, unfortunately.
Yeah, I agree 100%. There's a lot of education, a lot of bridging the gap that needs to happen, and it'll be interesting to see, you know, where things are in the next 5 to 10 years. But you know, projects like yours and other projects that are, you know, building foundational elements to the blockchain space to make it safer, more profitable, and more fun for the user, is what it's all about. Ukitrade, did you want to go next?
Yeah, I mean, I could kind of speak on that, and I think like one thing that I would like to see more in the space is kind of more people kind of using DeFi protocols. But I think we're away from that, you know, as a lot of people who kind of speak to in daily life, they never really ventured outside like Binance or Coinbase. So it's kind of a shame, like maybe they've used Uniswap once or twice to kind of buy a token, but it would be really nice moving forward to see more people kind of jump into DeFi, whether it be through us or any other protocol,
Yeah, for sure. Decentralized exchanges, DeFi is the way. And it's interesting to see like a lot of these centralized companies, sort of claiming to be all for decentralization and for crypto and all this stuff, when a lot of them are sort of wolves in sheep's clothing. And so it'll be interesting to see how it all shakes out over time. But yeah, I'm definitely a huge proponent for using decentralized finance and things of that nature. I remember like when I first got into crypto, just going to see an investment banker and with mutual funds and things like that, and they're just like the old world is so fixated on crypto's risky, don't invest in that, like, but just watching those mutual funds deteriorate through COVID and stuff, and then finally having enough and being like, okay, time to put the power back in my own hand here. And that's when I first got into crypto, and then the bull market and all that stuff happened, and just really bringing power back to the user and the person. So it'll be really cool to see more people get educated, and hopefully like the process doesn't take too long, but things seem to be moving quickly, at least in crypto, in the crypto world. In crypto years, things move like super fast. So hopefully we see more people get onboarded and using these platforms.
Yeah, of course, it'd be lovely.
As more projects solve things the way I think all three of our projects are starting to solve them, I think we'll start to see more and more of that security, more and more of that interest come in from more and more people. So I really like that. I like how it worked out with us three being the protocols in here today, because the focus on privacy, the focus on security, the focus on decentralization is really evident, and it was cool that we got to talk about those aspects today.
Awesome, man. Well, I think with that, like we're at the hour mark now. Maybe we can do a quick closing remarks around the table, and then wrap it up.
Sounds perfect.
Yeah.
Either one of you, whoever wants to start, closing remarks.
Sure. Well, I mean, I invite all users to kind of check us out on the pinned URL, and again, just thanks again for having us, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, same here. Thank you so much for listening in. I think our pinned tweet also speaks for itself, where you can find out about us. Don't be shy, get in contact. Again, our company lives because of your ideas, so please share your questions and your ideas with us. It'll only help us improve. And thank you so much for doing this, and for organizing this. It's been a pleasure being part of this.
Awesome. Thank you guys for joining us. To everyone listening, thank you for joining, or thank you for listening to the recording. It was a great space where we talked with Genome DAO, focused on privacy and doing genome sequencing and whatnot. There's a lot of information about them, and OKI with the great DeFi platform. Make sure to check them out. You can check them out on the billboard at the top of the space, or if you're listening via recording or YouTube, you can search Twitter for #GDAO Billboard. Be sure to check them out. Give everyone a follow, and appreciate everyone joining. And we'll be back next week with another episode. Thank you, everyone, for joining.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Thank
Have a
you.
great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.